I think we are good to start. So let me welcome you all to this day two of the Knowledge Competition 2025. Today we have got the presentations for the Black Belt group, which is the senior group for the payments domain. Yesterday we have already met our esteemed jury members, Shriyanka Hore and Rakesh Verma. So welcome you all again. And without wasting time, I think let's get started with the first presenter. Sunil, uh, I'll just stop sharing my screen. Can you share your screen and get started?
Yeah, sure.
So Sunil is also joining from USA. So really appreciate that it's, I believe 1:15. I was just checking with him. It's 1:15 a.m.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Really appreciate the
Hello,
enthusiasm.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be with you, and especially I am following both of you on the LinkedIn. So thank you so much.
Okay.
So let me.
Okay. So Sunil, I'll just start the timer and you can get started.
Sure.
Over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sunil, and I will be talking about AI and blockchain in payments. I will go over first the agenda, which is an overview of AI. I will go on some use cases of AI in payments, and then I will talk about agentic payments. Then I will touch base on blockchain, some of the key concepts, and one of the use case will be stable coins for cross-border payments. So artificial intelligence, which is AI, it is a technology that enables computers and machines to simulate human learning, comprehension, problem solving, decision making, creativity, and autonomy. Some of the key concepts are generative AI, which is everybody knows about ChatGPT. It's an example of generative AI. So these are AI models that can generate high quality text, images, and other content based on the data they were trained on. AI agents are much more advanced. AI agent is a system that autonomously performs tasks by designing workflows with available tools. Some of the use case of AI in payments are fraud prevention, specifically when the faster payments are being adopted. The real-time fraud prevention becomes important, and this can be achieved through AI. AI also brings operational efficiency, like efficient payment routing, personalized customer service, and agentic payments, which is a new field. It refers to a payment initiated and executed autonomously by an AI agent. If you look at agentic payment use case, I am taking flight booking as one of the use case here, and this flow is very at a very high level. So the first step will be user will request AI agent to book flight tickets. This will be in the form of prompt. Then agent will search the best option based on customers' past transactions and based on the data it has learned. Then agent will make the payment and the booking will be confirmed. I'll see if I can show you one of the demo. Some of the real live examples are Open AI's ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Google. So all of them are involved in the agentic commerce. And I'm taking one of the examples of Perplexity here. So I've just given a prompt, book a flight to Mumbai, and I'm just putting a enter. And this is something which is happening live, not recorded, no screenshots. So you can see here that it has started thinking about it. It's searching on the internet, and on the right side you will see the screen navigation, which is done by AI agent. So this is not something being done by us; it's done by the AI agent. So this will be the future of agentic commerce, agentic payments here. And one of the good thing here is there the steps are mentioned here, so people can know, they can audit, trail, check, they can give good prompts. Like I have just given a prompt of book a flight to Mumbai, but I have not specified the airlines, date, time, number of people. So all these things are being done based on AI is assuming something and just doing that search, and this is what is happening here. And it's trying to check. And today's e-commerce and the internet is not agentic friendly. It's much more driven by users. So there could be some challenges for AI agent to go through these websites and book the transaction. So in this case, this is just a free version. I have not given any of the credentials of payments. So it is trying to just see it, check, find, give me the best option. but it will not book the ticket. So it keeps on going. So just for the sake of time, I will just move back to the presentation now. Hope you can see my screen back again here. So if you look at this agentic payments flow, the first step is where the manual intervention is there, where a user is requesting AI agent to book the flight. There could be a scenario where the manual intervention can be introduced in step two, wherein AI agent will just give one of the best option and the user will select whether to go or not with that option. There could be a scenario where the manual intervention can be introduced in step three, wherein just agent will show the payment option and the user just has to authorize the payment. So agentic payments, there are many features of agentic payments. There is no or less manual intervention. There could be a scenario of no manual intervention wherein based on some events, agentic AI will just go and purchase the product. The payment is automated, but it can also be controlled. It can be personalized. It's based on my individual history, so it can make it is hyper personalized and it is efficient because it's checking the website of so many websites in on the internet in a very few seconds. There are some limitations to agentic payments. So for businesses, the future customer may not be humans but AI agents. This will create challenges for marketing, legal agreements, and payment verification. With legal agreements, I mean uh, the terms and conditions we select on the e-commerce website. If they are being selected and accepted by the AI agents, I'm not sure how the legal framework will work there. But this is being worked upon right now. And for customers, other than the regular risk like hacking, there is a risk of unauthorized payment wherein AI agent will just go and buy something. So sometimes this question comes to people's mind: what kind of payments are best suited for AI agents? And there is no one clear answer. There are card payments, bank transfers, but some in the industry think the answer may be blockchain-based payments. So now we will talk about blockchain. Blockchain is a shared, immutable digital ledger, enabling the recording of transactions and the tracking of assets within a business network and providing a single source of truth. In blockchain technology, each transaction is grouped into blocks, which are then linked together, forming a secure and transparent chain. Some of the major famous blockchains is a Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency that enables secure peer-to-peer value transfer over a blockchain without intermediaries. So Bitcoin itself is a blockchain, and the native currency is called Bitcoin. In case of stablecoin, it is a token. It is a digital asset designed to maintain a stable value, typically pegged to fiat currencies like the US dollar, and they run on a blockchain. So some of the examples of stablecoins can be USDT, USDC, which are pegged to US dollar, and they run on different blockchains like Ethereum, Solana, and Polygon. Some of the key terms in the stablecoin is minting, issuing new stablecoins against deposit of fiat or collateral. So this is the entry point to get into the stablecoin world. Redemption, which is converting stablecoins back into fiat currency. So if anybody wants to sell their stable coins or move back from stablecoins and get the money deposited in the bank account, they will do the redemption. There is a famous term which is on-chain, which means transactions settled directly on blockchain. If we look at stablecoin as a use case for cross-border payments, again at a very high level, it will look like this. The sender will obtain stablecoins, maybe through exchange. The sender will initiate payment, which can be through the wallet, and then payment will settle on blockchain network. The receiver will get stablecoins, most likely in the wallets, and they have option to convert to fiat by redemption. Some of the advantages of stable coins are instant settlement, lower transaction cost, 24 by 7 availability, stable value pack because it's not like Bitcoin, which where the value is changing, it's stable, global accessibility, and support smart contracts. Smart contracts are uh, the agreements which are there on the blockchain, they self-execute based on the code. There are some limitations for stable coins like regulatory uncertainty, issuer risk because it's not issued by government, it's issued by companies, and there are chances that they can get insolvent. The solvency issues are there, so issuer risk is there. There are limited redemption options, and there is low acceptance with especially with regards to merchants, and they have fluctuating fees. So these stable coins, they are not the blockchain, they are running on the blockchain networks. And those blockchain networks like Ethereum has gas fees and it fluctuates. So moving stable coin on those networks will also affect the fees. And there is a security risk because there is no intermediary here. If a person loses the keys of the wallet, they will lose the stable coins. So in a summary, I would like to say about AI. In future, the payments may happen between agents. This might change the paradigm of how payments will be made. This could be like machine-to-machine payments or invisible payments. And with regards to blockchain, the stablecoins may drive mainstream adoption of instant borderless payments, which will empower global commerce and financial inclusion. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Mhm.
Sunil, I know you're a proper payments enthusiast. So I'm going to make questions hard for you. Also because today is Black Belt Day. Um, when you speak about blockchain and distributed ledgers, right? Can you explain the difference between the two at a very high level? Is it one and the same? Are all blockchains
Uh,
distributed ledgers, or the
uh,
other way around? All
it's
distributed ledgers.
other way around. Yeah, the blockchain, yeah, is one of the distributed ledger, but yeah, not all distributed ledgers could be blockchain.
Correct. So in terms of stablecoins, is there a dependency on blockchain or distributed ledger or neither?
No, I don't think there is a dependency, but people generally issue stable coins on the blockchain because of the network and trust, and there is no intermediary. But yeah, if somebody wants to issue a stable coin out of the network, like on their own network or private network, they can definitely issue. With the stable coin, I will say the main thing is the value should be pegged to something, to some collateral like gold or currency. So that is something key. This is my
Absolutely.
opinion. Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, I mean, because it's knowledge sharing, I'll go back a little bit. So you've got JPM Coin mentioned. JPM Coin runs on R3's Corda. Corda is not a
Okay.
blockchain. Corda is a classic
Okay.
case of distributed ledger
Oh,
technology. So
right.
they want to always differentiate themselves. So
Oh,
that's one thing. But on the other hand, indeed, if you look at today's most popular stable coins, which is it's normally Circle or Tether,
hmm,
which holds almost 99.9% of the market. They're all dollar backed, mostly running on Ethereum, and it is blockchain based. Coming to agentic AI, do you think the initiation part is the most important bit of agents in the payment chain, or is it more the timing where you program the agent to pick up the best effects or timing of the payment and seek approval? How do you really see the agent coming in? Is it the search factor of agentic, or is it the timing factor of execution of agentic? What would be your hypothesis in the long term?
yeah, I will say the initiation is very important because it should be driven by either the human or some events. The timing may not be very important because people, like I was just doing a search for the flight, and if it took some time, maybe if I check now, I think it has given me an option of yeah, one of the flight from Newark to yeah, Mumbai with United Airlines. So yeah, it took 2-3 minutes for me, but I think at this stage people will definitely look for the event because they don't want get scared with these AI agents just doing something very fast but not under the control mechanism. So yeah, initiation is important either through human or through events. It should be controlled, and yeah, as much as security or controls are there, people will feel comfortable.
Thanks. And I think the power of agentic and blockchain is tremendous. One, because you mentioned the search factor, and blockchain because of the real-time event capture function. So
Mm.
once in the long term you have agentic over blockchain, definitely there's going to be a lot more real-time and intelligent payment decision making to see. Over to you, Rakesh. Thank you.
Thanks, Priyanka. Sunil, first of all, let me begin by complimenting you. Great presentation.
Thank you.
But at the same time, before I ask the questions, I wanted to know, were you part of the audience yesterday?
Yeah, I was part of the audience.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, for some time. Yeah. Namaste.
ठीक है. Okay, so you talked about agentic payments, which is like it's being one of the hotly debated and discussed topics in the payments world these days, and same is the case for stable coins as well. Now, when it comes to the agentic payments, while we know that there is a lot of work which is going on around agentic payments and AI agent-based payments, do you see that while I think all the participating institutions will try to put in certain guardrails, etc., but do you see possibility of the AI-based agents going rogue or let's say showing some biased results? And if you think yes, there is a possibility, then what, according to you, could be some of those ethical frameworks which the participating institution should put in place to ensure accountability and prevent any such misuse?
Yeah, so I agree to this point that AI can get rogue. Coming to the point, how guardrails can be done. One is explainability. So a person should be, or the company should be able to explain why this AI has taken this decision. So that should be explainable. So one of the in the demo, there was some steps it was showing, like these are the steps it's taking. There is other things like testing based on some parameters like gender, demography. Like there are so many things where testing can be done to ensure it doesn't go into production and create a problem. And third, I will say the data quality should also be checked for these AI agents before they are running. So that could be one of the guardrails. But I think explainability is something which is much more important, because from regulatory perspectives, they would like to see whether the company can just say, or they will just uh, put their hands up and say, I don't know how this AI has worked.
Okay, fair enough. Uh, maybe this is a hypothetical question, but what I wanted to also, let's say, know your thoughts around what do you see is the future of AI based payments? Do you see that it will get the same kind of an adoption, uh, something similar to, let's say, what the real time payments have got? Will people be comfortable in, let's say, uh, empowering the AI based agents to shop or do purchase transactions on their behalf?
Yeah, I think it will become, yeah, it will be adopted in future. As we see, the commerce industry has moved from store, like physical stores, to internet online base, and adoption has taken some time. I think this is the new vertical or distribution channel for the commerce industry, and the adoption will definitely increase. There will be guardrails. It will not happen over time, but yeah, it will take some time, but definitely it will happen.
Okay. My last question is related to stable coins. While we are talking a lot about stable coins these days and its benefits to the cross-border payments, etc., but why the stable coins are still not being adopted or used extensively? Let's say when it comes to cross-border purchase transactions. So I'm not talking about remittances. I'm talking about
Hmm.
retail purchase transactions, for example. So let's say there is a customer sitting in India wanting to buy something on a retail online e-commerce platform in US, etc. Why do you think that in spite of all the benefits which we are talking about, the adoption of stable coins, especially for cross-border purchase transactions, is still not that significant enough? And what
Yeah,
should
I will say.
to, let's say, further deepen the adoption?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a question. So I would like to say one is awareness about the stable coins. So there is very less awareness that stable coins are present here to make some purchases as cross-border shopping. So that is one area. Other is, I think, like what I feel is the UI for stable coins are not good. Like MetaMask is really difficult to use for a common person. So I think that is there. And third is the acceptability, like it's not accepted in most of the merchants. So I think that is one of the area. And there could be some other scenarios based on legal framework in different countries. wherein it's being promoted or not. So that could also be one
Do
of
you think
those.
harmonization of regulations across various jurisdictions is also one of the key challenges?
Yeah, this is one of the global challenges. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that's all
definitely.
from my side.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
No
you
more
so much.
questions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
yeah,
you so
thank you
much,
so much.
Sunil. So
Thank you.
Sunil has not just shown enthusiasm in staying awake today, but even last night he was awake watching the other presentations. Great. So we'll move on to our next finalist, who is Chellappa. He is joining from Netherlands completely in a different time zone. So Chellappa, you can start sharing your screen and begin your presentation.
Perfect. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. I'm Chalapandian. If you feel difficult to pronounce my name, you can call me SCP, like everyone do at work. Okay, do you see my screen?
It is loading.
Loading.
Yeah, now it is visible.
All right.
You can start, CP.
Yeah, okay, excellent. So I'm Chalapandian. I'm a lead business analyst working in payment sector for a decade now. Today, I'll take you through one of the most transformative subjects in financial sector, which is cross-border payments, right? In the next 15 minutes or so, we'll be exploring both the opportunities and the challenges that is thrown at us through this initiative. So let's go. On the agenda, I'll begin with the current challenges in cross-border payments in today's world, and then the several initiatives that are ongoing globally. But we will take a specific focus at the SWIFT initiatives and that initiative from a BIS. And then next, we will move on to the opportunities from these initiatives, and then the challenges that we need to work. Finally, I'll close with the future vision. Right. And the pain points. I think we may have seen this like often. These are the most known pain points in cross-border payments, right? We see that the cross-border payments, they are often slow, they are costly, and it is complex, meaning the payments are passing through multiple intermediaries, and it's not transparent and it's not predictable, right? These are the most known pain points. And due to this, what happens? The business, they face uncertainty. Banks, they have to manage manually their liquidity, their operations, etc. And then the customers, they don't know where their payment is, and they also don't know when their payment will arrive. These are the several pain points from the cross-border payments in today's world. And here you can also refer, wait a moment, I'll take the laser pointer. Yeah. So here you can refer various sources that I have considered to prepare this on the pain points. So we have pain points. Now the industry is determined to fix it. We have action plan. Let's move to the next slide. So quickly, for the moment, just to picture this image in your memory. We can see this from this heat map that some regions are processing payments within minutes, some within hours, some even taking a day, right? We have interesting insight into it, again, thanks to Swift for the speed report. I'll refer to the slide in the upcoming ones, right? Now, this brings us to my favorite analogy, addressing pain via pain. The second pain meaning payment instant. So to address the pain points, G20 has set us a clear roadmap to enhance the cross-border payments, mainly on three aspects. Number one, speed. 75% of cross-border payments should be credited within an hour. So not just crediting to the beneficiary bank, but it must be credited to the ultimate beneficiary within an hour. And then on the cost aspect, and today we have seen that the maximum charges are 6%. Here, the target is that it should be reduced to maximum 3% for any corridor, and average is 1%. And then the total cost must be 100% disclosed to the consumers or the businesses. These are the 3 points, major 3 points. But okay, there are several other priorities. Now, to address the roadmap, the priorities given by G20, several initiatives ongoing globally, because it's not just a single body or a single bank or a single country that can fix, that need to work on it, because it requires a global level effort, a massive effort to address all the all the priority is given to enhance cross-border payments simply, right? We see that from SWIFT level, okay, we know SWIFT, it is vast majority of global network. SWIFT is working on to upgrade its existing rail, and then private-led initiatives like Parshare and then IXP. These are working on blockchain model. Central bank-led initiative projects like Project Mbridge, Icebreaker. This is focusing on CBDC settlement, and Project Nexus, the ambitious one by BAS. This is about the interlinking model, right? These are high-level 4 initiatives. Now we will be deep diving into 2 use cases. First, we'll start with the Project Nexus, right? Project Nexus, as I said, it's an interlinking model. Why we say interlinking? Interlinking is about connecting multiple domestic payment instances. So in today's world, there are 80 plus countries that are running a live real-time payment system. So this approach, this architectural approach is taking to interlink multiple payment systems, right? And the aim is to credit beneficiary accounts within 60 seconds or less, and is based on API communication. And the aim is to avoid, the multiple intermediaries. So here, this will have only 2 hops. And then complex compliance aspect, we see it will be only one time, and the fees are predictable. And most importantly, it follows standard plug and play model, right? And now move on to the next slide. Here, this is again a very high level how the payment flow will work in the Nexus gateway. We see that let's take a payment from India to Singapore. Here, the Nexus gateway, this will connect the IMPS in India and then pay now in Singapore. So this is what we call interlinking model. No specific work need to be done in either countries. So it is Nexus gateway, the country that can plug into Nexus gateway, and then the Nexus gateway will do the routing, translation, and everything. And here, I just share the project timeline. So this project has ambitious timeline. The project was launched in 2021, and then there were POC prototype are ongoing, and this year there is a pilot, and it is aimed to roll out in 2026. So just remember this, it's an interlinking model about multiple instant payment system across different countries. And then let's move to the next initiative, that's SWIFT level, right? We know SWIFT, it remains at the heart of cross-border payments for decades, right? And SWIFT has been doing several initiatives. And SWIFT being visionary, in my view, the foundation for instant cross-border payment, this was already laid in 2017 with the launch of SWIFT GPA. Because with SWIFT GPA, we were able to track payments end-to-end. Thanks to the EUTR, which was never there before 2017. With the EUTR, we were able to see, okay, where exactly my payment is. This is the very important advancement in terms of cross-border payments. And then there was a speed factor, transparency, and then SWIFT GPA, as per SLA, it was the same day funds. And then we upgraded, SWIFT upgraded retail payments in 2021 with the funds availability within 4 hours. And then we have seen recently the SWIFT Transaction Manager, and then the industry upgraded to ISO 20022. So the banks and systems can speak same language. And we have seen this year, Cybers, the announcement of SWIFT Ledger. Sorry, just a moment. So this year we have seen the announcement of SWIFT Ledger, and this will enable us to process payments in real time 24/7 based on blockchain, right? And then let's move to the next slide. So here this is about the speed initiatives. What has improved based on this our initiatives at the SWIFT level. Now try to recollect the other slide that I explained before. Here we see that 90% of the payments that are reaching beneficiary bank, it's beneficiary bank within an hour, while only 43% are credited to end customer within an hour. So we see a clear gap, right? And this is what explained here, shown here in this graph. We can see that the ones that are just above are up to 70%. These are, let's call it as the high-speed countries as per SWIFT. These are the ones that are able to credit the beneficiary account within an hour, which is the target set by G20, right? And the other countries, no, it takes more than an hour. Why? Because there are several reasons. So this is important insight from the Swift Speed report. Why the high-speed countries are able to achieve this? It's because of the key success criteria, right? These countries are having real-time systems, and the systems are running 24/7, and also they have real-time back offices. And most importantly, they do not have any specific control on the inward payments, like Shriyanka was mentioning yesterday. For India, FIRC certificate. So these are kind of for the non-high-speed countries, these are kind of controls that are forced in STP. Even if everything is perfect in terms of payment data, okay, all the parties are properly filled in, the remittance information, everything is there, but still the payment is moving to NSTP. It's not because of the payment data, but it is due to the local regulations and so on. Right? These are the forced NSTPs that is being identified by SWIFT by their study. And these are the things that we need to overcome in order to achieve the G20 target. Either meaning overcome, meaning to find an alternative solution to do it in a better way. Right. And then the next slide. So in the next section, we will be covering about the different opportunities. Right. So in terms of opportunities, again, I have split this into different aspects. So first we'll start with the banks. So what it brings to the banks in terms of opportunities. Of course, it brings a new revenue model for the banks. It reduces operational cost and also it reduces operational risk. And due to the atomic settlement, like platforms like mBridge or PerShare, the settlement risk is reduced. And then most importantly, the early adopters, they can easily become a gateway bank or they can become a preferred, they can become a gateway bank for the preferred specific routes, or even for smaller banks that don't have the capabilities to connect to the instant payment system. These banks can act as a correspondent bank. So clearly we see with the transformation to instant cross-border payments, banks has clear advantages, right? Then next, in terms of opportunities for the economy, again, we have three main factors on the economy aspect. So supply chain, remittance, trade, and e-commerce. So it's supply chain. So instant money, meaning it's a instant economy, instant business. They will have the possibility of having improved working capital or liquidity, and certainly this will improve the supplier relationship. The next one about the remittances, I can speak even from my own personal experience as someone that is working outside of India for a decade now. Used to send money back home, and it has always been a pain that sometimes the payment takes days and there are always high cost involved. Again, thanks to G20 for identifying our concern and addressing this, and yeah, thanks to everyone. And this will of course have a direct impact on the economical development, poverty reduction in the home countries, right? Here we see that 2024 the market was estimated at 900 billion. So the fees for this transfer of 900 billion was at $40 billion. Imagine just the fees. And this is, of course, it is expected to grow up to 1 trillion in this coming year. And then the trade and e-commerce support. This is the industry that is running 24/7. And the industry is already estimated at $3 trillion. And this industry, imagine giving them 24/7 availability of funds. Of course, this will even grow further, and they will have the possibility to compete with the global players, right? And then in terms of social opportunities, again, I take three aspects. The gig workers, humanitarian aid, and then the financial inclusion. So for individuals, gig workers, families that is relying on foreign remittances, and if you make them access to the funds instantly, of course, this will boost their personal cash flow and the financial stability. Again, I take this to, this was a quick samples. And the gig workers, so Gen Zs are mostly leaning towards the gig workers economy. And this is, again, in 2024, it's estimated at 550 billion, and it is estimated to grow even further this, because for them, for the Gen Zs, yeah, this is like, it's going to be the future. for them, making funds available as soon as the job is done, immediate compensation for the job. Of course, it makes a big difference for them. And Gen Zs, I mean, okay, not Gen Zs, but the gig workers, they face their unique financial challenges because they are the ones that have to maintain all their financial obligations by themselves. So making the funds available to them immediately itself improves the satisfaction, plus it helps them to address their financial challenges and the humanitarian aid. I'm not just speaking about the war here, due to the climate changes and so on. Yeah, anything can happen in the world. And let's say there is a need to assist financially. Anyone from anywhere in the world to anyone in the world, the fund can move quickly, right?
Teleba, I request you to please conclude. Last few seconds left.
Oh, sorry. And in terms of opportunities for the bank, so in terms of technical, this is a really revolutionary moment. This allows banks to speak the same language, and with the AI-driven models, this will allow us to have predictive liquidity and then real-time fraud detections of the opportunities for the banks. And the challenges aspect, so commercially, this will of course it involve a high cost, and then we need to convince individuals to come to adapt to ISO. And then in terms of education, of course, it requires a lot of training and support. This also involves cost. And in terms of banks, they need to also upgrade their existing batch-based processing into a real-time system. And just to one attention point here for the banks, instead of banks to follow the wait and approach strategy, they have to try to become an early adopters, being proactive, and try to become the let's say the game changers in the future ecosystem. And then in terms of regulatory, this is the most important one and the most hardest one, right? Here, as I said in the advantages slide, if money can move faster for a good, for good reasons like for relief and so on, the same money can move faster for illegal purpose also. So we cannot compromise the speed over security. So this must be addressed, and this is why we have a role of AI in terms of analyzing the fraud and compliance on the go, meaning like when we process payments. And this brings us to my last slide. As I have said already, we have undeniable use case, meaning the need has always been there, and also undeniably the work has already started, like with initiatives from SWIFT and then several other initiatives by central banks and etc. With this, the key is to have a global cooperation to achieve this. With this, we'll be able to make instant payment from anyone to anyone in the world, anywhere. This is possible. And just one closing point. The goal is not just about faster payments, it's about building a more inclusive, efficient, and connected global economy. Sorry for taking a long time, and that's all. This is my
Great presentation, and you've covered quite a breadth in terms of cross-border payments, right from interlinking and different business models, and going on into technology, reg risk, everything. Maybe just a couple of points in your presentation. And I'm just pointing out understanding errors probably. When you mentioned the G20 target, you put speed and cost and transparency, right? And in terms of the verticals and the targets. The G20 actually differentiates between wholesale, retail, and remittance as three key pillars. Okay, because for wholesale, for example, you cannot the kind of transfers are in the tune of billions of dollars sometimes for defense deals, etc. And the 1% target doesn't make sense in such high value payments. SWIFT is primarily on wholesale rather than remittance. Remittance is a number of unregulated players, right? Non-banks, and there is a different kind of risk that exists there. So all of these, apart from the experience and efficiency, are also basically on underlying risk models, right? The business models that are engineered to extract cost, and why the slowness of some of these models. So in that regard, when you spoke about Nexus, right? Who takes on the FX risk and liquidity risk, right? Which is primarily the role of a correspondent bank in a cross-border payment. There are two currencies, right? So they kind of demand a share of that payment, right, as fee. as a middleman, right?
Yes.
And they do that because they take on the obligatory risk of FX and ensures the settlement of in the other leg, right? So they're
Yes.
basically trust brokers. In the new model of interlinking and two remittance infrastructure, two retail payment infrastructures interlinking, who takes on FX risk and liquidity risk?
Okay. I didn't mention in my flowchart there is a settlement account provider also, right? That does the FX conversion, and there lies the responsibility of the FX risk. I think I should have mentioned it. Yeah.
No, that's fine. I mean, honestly, you've covered quite a lot. So maybe from an understanding point of view, it is the banks again. It is the same correspondent banks who are in the corridors, who now name themselves as gateway banks, who put on FX and take on the FX risk, right? So probably the naming is changing, but the underlying model of holding two nostrils and allowing the settlement is not changing. In fact, on the retail interlinking bit, it is for regional correspondent banks who probably did not have the reach and remit to have multiple correspondent bank agreements and arrangements, are now becoming gateways into other currency corridors which are more volatile. Say Vietnam, Philippines would be somebody, gateway bank, a large regional Asian correspondent would then take on that role. So, and then on IXP specifically, CP, you mentioned IXP is blockchain. IXP actually is a prototype which did not productize. It was a private sector initiative between TCH and EBA on the euro-dollar corridor. It was again based on interlinking. So if you know, in Europe and US, they also allow private sector market infrastructures. So EBA is the private sector market infrastructure, runs Euro 1. ECB runs Target 2, right, which is the public sector market infrastructure. Similarly, on US, you have TCH's chips and Fed now. So they are competing public and private sector market infrastructures. But otherwise, a great presentation. And do you have any question for me specifically?
I mean, I acknowledge what you have said. If I have said that the IXP is a blockchain, then that's my mistake. Because
no, don't worry about the mistake. Because it's knowledge sharing, I'm trying to explain and clear out, because you won't find enough information unless you've worked on them. So yeah, no. Do you have a question for me? Otherwise, I'll pass it on.
No, perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And it's very gratifying for me to see some of my work presented in your presentation. So thanks for that. Over to you, Rakesh.
Thank you, Sringa.
Thanks, Sringa. First of all, CP, I mean, like, great effort. There was a lot of depth in your presentation. One of the things which comes to my mind is, I think, as we speak today, there are almost like around 80 countries who have implemented cross-border, who have implemented instant payments within their geographies and jurisdictions. And there have been now efforts across the globe to interlink the domestic instant payment systems to make it cross-border instant payments. Now, there are multiple efforts which have been going on around this. So you have initiatives like Swift GPI or Swift Go. You have initiatives like mBridge. You have initiatives like Project Nexus, etc.
Yes.
But do you think that, and then one of the other examples which I would like to quote is, let's say from an India perspective, is India is going ahead and doing these bilateral tie-ups with multiple countries. Right, maybe let's say between India, UAE, or let's say some other countries, etc. So there are bilateral tie-ups which are also happening. Now, given that we want to achieve, we want to implement and operationalize cross-border instant payments, how do you see true interoperability to be achieved across these fragmented solutions which are being implemented right now?
So true interoperability. Again, I take ISO. systems must speak same language, as we have seen in some presentations yesterday. With the introduction of, and then with the adoption of ISO 20022, we see clear improvement in STP. This is one key. And then the most important aspect, Rakesh, I would say the regulation, right? And this varies, of course, by region, by country. And this is where we need to have a harmonized approach, right? So systems not only speak technically, the same language, but in terms of regulations, we need to have a combined effort to have a harmonized approach. So this will allow us to achieve this frictionless cross-border payments.
Do you think that in order to achieve true interoperability across various instant payment systems, it will be a good idea to have a centralized infrastructure which is connected to, let's say, the instant payment systems of multiple countries, and that centralized infrastructure / entity, whatever you want to call it, then takes the initiative of interlinking multiple instant payment systems rather than having these, let's say, fragmented initiatives.
So fragmented initiatives meaning, sorry, which one you were referring?
So when I say fragmented initiatives, what I'm trying to tell is that there is an initiative being taken by SWIFT to let's link multiple instant payment system. Then we have initiatives like for example, mBridge, Project Nexus, and I talked about those bilateral tie-ups as well. So these are like fragmented initiatives. They are all working in silos. But if you want to achieve true interoperability, do you think that there is a need of a centralized infrastructure who then takes up this responsibility of connecting all the instant payment systems across the globe?
All right. So if I understand well, in my view, okay, this is my view, and then I let you enhance. I think this will coexist together, meaning all the models like the project mBridge and then the initiatives from SWIFT. Okay, SWIFT will be there by upgrading its by upgrading its existing rail and the correspondent backing network, and then the other initiatives like interlinking multiple domestic payment systems. In my view, they all will go, parallel. Everything will remain, and I think maybe to address your question directly, there is no single winner, right? It will be a shared ecosystem, in my view, and also I see possibly a negative point, like when everyone try to do their own innovation. Let's say from UK there is something they try to do separately on their own, and then from Europe there is separate innovation, and from APAC, when we see multiple innovations, like this will become over innovation, right? This is also not good. This is where we need to have an innovation that should not become a burden.
Related question, don't you think when we allow multiple systems to coexist, it will require the ecosystem participants to put in a lot of investment in terms of capital, in terms of resources, in terms of, let's say, achieving different timelines, etc. So I'm like that. There is a view that allowing multiple systems to coexist might become a burden for the industry in the long run, as compared to having a centralized system.
Okay. Again, I share my view. I let you enhance me, right? In my view, that is if you speak from cost perspective, the revenue and the cross-border payment has always been evolving, right? That is, there can be even more investment into the sector. And then by having multiple parties, multiple ecosystem, this will allow us to have more, let's say, a competition with innovation, like you see. So it's not just about one single party that is having domination or kind of thing. So let's say a healthy competition with innovation. And then, of course, since you referred the cost perspective, and of course, there can be new revenue models for the banks, for the fintechs. Yeah, this is how I see it, Rakesh.
Oh, fair enough. One last question from my side. For example, we are today living in the world, I mean, like in the times of instant payments. We want to, let's say, send and receive payments instantly, whether it is within
Yes.
the geography, within the borders of the country, or let's say across the countries, etc. Now, one of the important aspects which come into consideration is your
Mhm.
EML and CFT supervisions, etc. Now,
Yes.
with the demand of sending and receiving money instantly, how do you see that the regulator should be balancing the need for continuous AML and CFT supervision with the, let's say, with the expectation of speed and speed of receiving, speed, and I will also add one more thing, speed and privacy
Mhm.
demands of the instant payments. How do,
Right.
I mean, like, this balance should be maintained?
Of
Because
course.
on the one hand, you want the payment to get credited within a couple of
Mhm.
seconds, and at the
Mhm.
same time, the regulators and the global agencies want each and every transactions to be supervised from an AML and CFT perspective.
Mhm.
So
All
how
right. Of course.
balance?
Yeah, of course. We must balance, as I explained in my one of slides. We must not compromise on security over speed. Maybe I'll just take one scenario example outside of payments. Like, when we travel via road or something, we will see sometimes, safety first, speed next, right? But in payments, no, both must evolve together. The speed and the security, right? And this is where we have technology, right? With ISO interoperability, we speak same language. With this, the most important thing is that with ISO, it's a machine readable data, right? And this is why the role of AI comes into picture to do real-time monitoring, real-time checks. This is one crucial aspect where, at the time of sending or even before sending a payment, we do pre-validation because it's all machine readable, right? We do verification of payee or confirmation of payee. We pre-validate the data before sending, right? So we don't have to validate everything after. It's not post-processing. Okay, that's past. We have to move ahead with the approach of pre-validate before sending. This is one factor. And another one, Rakesh, I would like to, let's say, think from a bank's regulatory perspective or government's perspective. There has to be, again, a harmonized approach to let's say, to adapt to a future with the help of technology. Okay, so far it has been operating on a legacy systems, legacy message, but now we have technology, we have richer data. Okay, let's think from new perspective. Let's adapt to our approach. And this is where banks and governments or the central regulators, they should be able to help to achieve this.
Fair enough. Thank you so much. That's all from my side.
All right. Thank you very much for the insightful conversation. And again, I did some mistakes, but please excuse me.
No, thanks,
not at
Kitty.
all.
You spoke like a true practitioner. Okay, like you understand
Oh,
it's important that if there is a knowledge gap that we address it now. So, but otherwise, you've got a very good presentation. Thank you.
I'm glad. Thank you very much, everyone. Wish you a good day.
Thank you so much, CP. So let's invite the next finalist, Urvija. Can you turn on your camera and also share your screen?
Yeah. Hi. Hello. I will start sharing the screen just now. I hope everyone will be able to see it.
Yes, we can see you and we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So I think in the previous slide we touched a bit upon Swift upgrading its payment rails, right? So my topic is exactly that. So it's the payment world after the ISO 20022 migration. So before we go into the details, I would start with the very basic. What is ISO 20022 migration? Although I understand, or I would assume rather, that everyone here is already aware of what it is. But just to give a start, I'll still go ahead. So it's a migration. ISO 20022 migration refers to the transition from legacy formats to newer, richer formats. Now, what are these legacy formats? So when you are using or when you are sending a cross-border payment, you use probably a SWIFT network. So SWIFT has its own or had its own MT format with which you would send the message over the network. Similarly, let's say if you are in the US and you are processing a message through the local clearing federal chips, then they had their own formats as well. So ISO 222 migration is basically everyone is moving or trying to adopt a standard across for payment processing. So as part of this initiative, many of the schemes as well as SWIFT is moving from their older legacy formats or different formats to a standard XML format. As of today, we are actually in the last leg of migration, and in the next couple of weeks, we will be completely moving to MX from a Swift standard perspective. Although a lot of schemes in the UK, US, Europe, we have already moved on to this MX format. Why are we doing this, right? So it's a global standard. If everyone's using the same messaging, um, it gives you a better interoperability. This term has come in so frequently in the last few top or few minutes of discussion. But interoperability is something that it's very important when you are processing payments across different jurisdictions and geographies. Along with this, because you are now using XML format, it gives you a structured or more richer data, enhanced data, gives you an opportunity to input a lot of information within the payment, which is also like structured remittance and it also gives you a better ability to do a better sanction check, do better AML, do better fraud checks on the payment. So that's the some of the key uh, factors on why we should move on to the ISO migration. Although all of this migration also, because we are doing it on an industry level, it paves our way for the future of payments, that's real-time payments. Moving on to the next part of it. So definitely we have, or the banks or industry has done this modernization. Definitely there is some impact of it, and then some opportunities as well. So, from an impact perspective, if I talk about the industry impact, I think it's a brilliant infrastructure modernization because we are decommissioning the legacy formats, and along with it, because these legacy formats have been there for so long, maybe 30 plus, 40 plus years, and all of our systems are sort of legacy as well. So, with this transformation, it also gives us a chance to upgrade our core banking systems as well. Also, along with it, we have now a chance for improved data consistency because we don't really have to transform message formats. Like from US, we are sending a payment cross border to UK. So we don't have to change our formats depending on where we are sending the payment to or whom we are sending the payment to, which helps us with improved data consistency. It also gives you a better cross border interoperability, simpler correspondent banking, and paves the way for faster payments or real-time payments as well. Also, because it's an XML format, it's an XML format, and which is a very structured format. So it allows you to adhere better with the regulatory standards as well. Also gives you a better operational resiliency, and because we are moving towards payment modernization, and with the usage of XML, it actually opens the gates for a better integration with various fintechs, various technology. We are living in the world of microservices architecture, in the world of APIs. So with XML, with the adopting or ISO 222 adoption, we are we will be able to connect better with the vendors and via APIs. Though all of these are what I would call the benefits to the entire industry, from a financial institution and banks perspective as well, there are some benefits out of it. So let's say in terms of operational efficiency, it helps, or this migration or usage of ISO helps us with the increased STP, increased exception handling, which in turn helps reduce costs to the bank and as well as time for processing a payment. So that's the operational efficiency that's the bank will be able to leverage. Along with it, adhering to all the local regulations, global regulations, compliance, various compliance asks, fraud asks, AML. So with enhanced data, the compliance and risk management also increases or becomes better and efficient for financial institutions. And though all of this is something that everyone will benefit from, I think from a bank's perspective, because now they have a improved data set and improved information about every payment, uh, I think there is a lot of scope for the banks to run various kind of analytics on this data. And with this analytics, what they can or they can use this analytics to uh, give better solutions or better products or value added services to their customers as well. So in the end, it's not only the industry benefiting only from a regulation or a modernization perspective, but even uh, in the end, the customers are benefited as well, or as well as the banks, because if they are giving some value added services to the customer, it it changes or it makes way for improved revenue models to the banks too. So the data analytics, I think, is a very important part, and I see a lot of opportunity, especially with AI coming in and extensive use of AI now. Having said that, I think whenever we are changing something, whenever we make change to something, and we see a lot of opportunities, I think there are some challenges as well that come with it, and that's not just to say with this, with anything that we that anyone does. So similarly, even with the ISO adoption, there are some challenges. I have actually split those challenges into two parts. So one is short term and a long term. So from a short term perspective, because we were until now we were using legacy formats, and for legacy formats even the processing systems were legacy as well. We actually didn't really have to change anything, but with this ISO migration, I think either you change your system, or if you're not able to do so, then what everybody or the banks or FIs have to ensure is their legacy system is compatible with the newer formats. So legacy system compatibility, I think it's a short-term challenge for this ISO migration. Along with this compatibility, because probably if you're tweaking your existing system, you're making changes to your existing system just so you can process the ISO or the MX message format. I think the banks need to ensure that they avoid the truncation of the data, misinterpretation of the data while processing the payment. Along with it, because now you have a richer data even for the sanction compliance, but your sanction system may not be um, adequate enough to ingest the enriched data. So you might have to make some changes to your sanctions applications as well for better sanctions compliance. So that's also something that I see as a short-term challenge. Along with it, because everyone's moving to ISO at the same time. So if I talk about European schemes or UK schemes, everyone's want to get ahead in the race. So and if you as a financial institution or a bank are present across multiple jurisdictions, then from a short-term perspective, I think that becomes a challenge because you have to adhere to everybody's timeline at the same time. So that's also something that banks or FIs had to take care of. Now, as I said at the start, that November 25 is when Swift is completely moving towards the MX, and they're going to stop the MT. And so what until that happens? So until that, Swift actually allows both the formats to be sent over their network, so MX as well as the legacy MT. So the FIs or the banks using Swift network, they had to support both the formats, MX as well as MT. So that I would consider as a challenge as well. And I think a very important one is the next one here, that because we have been processing legacy formats, MT formats for a long time now. And whoever is working on this, our IT folks, the operations people, everyone is very well versed with the MT format. However, with the MX coming in, I think everyone has to upskill themselves to learn this new formats, understand the integrations of it, and understand how it differs from the MT, because the next thing for them is the MX message. The person is not going to change, but the way the message gets processed, the way you see the message gets changed. So I think that upskilling is something that everyone had to do quickly. From a longer term perspective, however, I think uh, because in the short term you kind of ran towards making your system compatible with the MX format, but it's not really a sustainable from a long term perspective. So from a longer term, everyone will have to probably upgrade their systems and make them not just MX compatible but MX native. So that's, I think that would be a longer term challenge, and along with it, the decommissioning of the older systems as well. So let's see some systems that just cannot process MX and they were completely on the MT. So we'll probably have to decommission them in the long run. So that's, I think, a longer term challenge. Along with it, maybe interoperability. So though we see that MX allows you interoperability, it's not just that it will allow you that without doing anything. So you have to ensure that you're maintaining interoperability, because though all the schemes have adopted the MX, they they have or they could give their own flavor to it. So I think adhering to all the schemes and their formats and their rules and regulations will help us with the maintaining profitability. So that's, I think, a continuous process that everyone will have to do over time. Along with it, because in the XML you have a lot of information, you have a lot of tags where you can put in information. Harmonizing the field usage globally is important. So let's say one of the set is using a field for a particular information. So not Fed cannot just, or no scheme should work in the silos that Fed is working in one way, target 2 is working in the another. So everyone needs to talk to each other, and there has to be a harmony across how a particular or how each field in the XML is being used. Otherwise, there will definitely be challenges in the interoperability as well. So harmonizing field usage globally is a long-term challenge. Along with it, along with it, adhering to all the regulations across various jurisdictions, especially if you have a presence across multiple geographies. So that's, I think, is a longer-term challenge. Also, maintaining the expertise. So in the short term, though you upskilled your personnel and you made them aware of what new format is, I think maintaining that capability and maintaining that expertise within your institution is also very important, because ISO is not something that you can just learn in a day and you are just done with it. It's a continuous learning, and you have to ensure that you have capable people uh, and capable expertise within your organization in order to adhere or in order to make use of the MX format. The last, but actually not the least, I would say, because I touched upon a data and analytics point in the previous slide where I said it's a huge impact and we have a lot of opportunities with the data. I think it's very important that we understand how that data is to be used. So you can use the data for providing some value-added services. Yes, but how? I think that how is very important. So leveraging the structured data or leveraging the data for analytics is very important, and for reporting, and if you have to especially enhance your customer experience and give them some services, or it's not only for the customers, even for improving your internal processes. I think that understanding of how to do that analytics and how to get the required information out of it, I think that's very important, and that is something that everyone will have to deal with from a long term perspective. So with that, I think. And although all of these are not the only challenges of consideration, but I think these are probably the main ones that everyone will have to deal with. And with that, actually, I'll stop my presentation. So thank you.
Thank you, Urvija. Great presentation. Quite an in-depth, walkthrough of all of the possibilities of the migration. quick ones, okay? So first and foremost, which are the message types that are in scope for migration? Are you clear on that?
Yes. So although Swift allows, so Swift has got a number of messages, right? It has got category of messages, 1xx, 2xx. But from a migration perspective, from a payment migration perspective, the statements or the message types in scope are 1xx, 2xx, xx, and from a reporting perspective, some of the 9xx messages. From a ENI perspective, some N9x categories, all of these are migrated. So, for example, the 3xx message type, 7xx message type, 5xx message type are not migrated right now.
Super. Yeah. So, and in terms of the migration, it is a migration on Swift as a critical infrastructure, not overall ISO, right? Overall ISO is an open standard; it's for all,
Yeah,
and different infrastructures can choose its own pace. I keep
yeah,
reiterating this point because I think,
correct. Exactly. But
yeah,
it's just that everyone's, was trying to get ahead in the race. So not only who are using Swift network, and that's why I kept quoting the US example. So Fed and Chips, though they are not using or they are not on the Swift network, but they also upgraded to ISO. So although they took their time, but yes, I understand that not everyone could be adopting. But I think it's a kind of a competition, right? If you have to be in the international race, I think it's imperative that sooner or later you adopt to ISO because it's a global standard and everyone's seem to be doing it.
So more than competition, I think it is interoperability because money needs to flow across boundaries, right? But more than capital flow, to flow in a safe, regulated manner, you have to speak the common language. So
Yeah,
even it's not limited to the infrastructure, right? So even the ISO, CPMI, the Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructures, they've endorsed a subset of the data model. So unless everybody speaks the common language, it's not limited to one infrastructure alone. To basically reiterate my point,
yeah,
you mentioned specifically, and I like that point, but you mentioned it very subtly. So I'm going to drill you a little bit on deep dive. You mentioned harmonization of field usage, right?
yeah.
Um, can you give me examples of harmonization of field usage? It can be a discussion. Don't consider it like I'm grilling you, although I said that.
Yeah.
But do you know the practical examples
It's,
of
uh,
some of the field usage harmonization that can be adopted globally?
I think LEI is one of it,
Mm-hmm.
and the purpose code as well, right? Because a purpose code
Excellent.
is a
Yeah.
tag that everyone can use it to their own benefit by adhering to the standards. But I think if I'm using a code that is not globally known, so even though I use it in the right field, I don't think everybody will understand that. So I think that's the kind of harmonization that is required across the industry.
Absolutely. And to specifically zero in on purpose codes. So on LEI, yeah, of course, party identifier, your structured party identification is great. On purpose codes, it's interesting because there are different types of you also mentioned the upskilling, right? So there is payment purpose, there is category purpose codes, right? And sometimes people get confused on the usage of each of these. And when we analyze the messages that are going through, the most common purpose code is sometimes OTHR, other, right? So they're actually not populating the purpose codes correctly against. So this is a intelligent. There's an opportunity to intelligently classify the purpose codes up front in the channel and the
Yeah.
payment experience rather than default it to other, right?
Yeah.
And then what's also happening is countries, they take different code lists. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at India, UPI has made it very effective when you do the international payment because it gives you an upfront category code list, right? But not every market infrastructure scheme has done that. But there is also scope of like having a harmonized code set so that an Australian trying to make a payment or somebody like CPU's trying to make a payment from Netherlands is not left to wonder that okay, when I make to India I know which code, but when I make to US what's the code,
Yeah.
they'll have a separate code list. So these are some of the practical uses which when you go back and implement in your banks, you can actually keep it in
And
mind.
along with that, actually, I would just add, like to add 2 points, right? So even though we have this standard list of ISO codes, I think some countries they still add in their specific codes. So I think that's also important to understand which countries are doing what. I think with and while from a customer perspective, when they are, let's say, creating a payment and they're selecting the purpose code, I think it's very important for the customers to select the right code as well. Because sometimes, what happens is they just initiate a payment, they don't really pay that much of attention. So though they have like 10 purpose code to select from, they will probably just choose the first one from the drop down or something like that. So I think it's education for the customers as well that is equally important.
And there's a lot of scope in terms of channels, right? We talked about
Yeah.
agentic and intelligent
Yeah.
payments. I think these are the kind of things which should not be left sometimes to the user. It has to at some point be intelligent. But why it matters is why does purpose of payment code matter? Can you explain a little bit about that?
So I think it basically tells you what the payment or why is this payment being made, right? So I think that's the main. So let's say if it's a security payment, you would just put in some security related code. So you might be making payment from to a customer. So you could put in that specific reason, or you could be maybe paying an insurance premium or insurance payout. So I think it basically tells you why the payment is being made to the customer or to the beneficiary.
Yeah, there are two parts to it. One is basically the data itself helps to determine anomalies across the network and within banks in terms of customer versus payment behavior.
Yeah.
It's also used for regulatory reporting.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, when countries report balance of payment, for example, there's a specific ESG related cause, right? And you're trying to monitor precious metals or minerals, you are able to extract from that and take it into your balance of payment reporting into your IMF and so on. So there is a huge impact in terms of every time
Yeah.
we put in how the payment chain kind of impacts an economic metrics of a
Yeah.
country.
Yeah. I think
Anyways,
doesn't
that's all from my
matter.
end.
Yeah, it doesn't
Uh,
matter much for the retail customers when we talk about huge payouts, right? One of the examples that you quoted at the start was the defense deal. It's making a huge payment. So that's where I think that purpose becomes very critical.
Absolutely. Yeah. So great discussion, great presentation. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Over to you, Rakesh.
Thanks, Shanka. And Purvija, first of all, appreciate the depth to which you went in your presentation. Really appreciate that. Uh, my question is pretty straightforward, which is we all have been talking about ISO 20022 migration and and how it is going to make life easier for the, let's say, entities which are part of the ecosystem. Now, considering the rich data sets which are being enabled by ISO 20022, what do you think how the financial institutions who are part of the ecosystem leverage this transformation to strengthen their, let's say, compliance parameters, fraud detection, and customer experience?
Okay. So I think that's one of the benefits of ISO, isn't it? That we have this rich information. So if, from a party, let's say you're talking about the party field in the XML. So it could be a simple transaction between a debtor and a creditor, or it could be a transaction between one bank initiating a payment on somebody else's behalf. So I think from a XML, it gives you a lot of parties field as well. So it gives you fields like debtor, creditor, ultimate creditor, as well as initiating party. So 5 fields in total. So in therein you can put in information, and banks can actually use this information to understand uh, whether and to strengthen actually their compliance checks or sanctions checks, because now they just don't just know who is the debtor of this payment or who is the creditor. They also understand who is the ultimate debtor, who is the ultimate creditor, who has initiated the payment. So they can definitely um, uh, use this information to not just do a sanctions check or a compliance check, but also they can now do some AIML or run some AI on these kind of payments as well. They can detect fraud better. They can detect AML better because you have information available in the payment. And with everyone adopting it, you are not even truncating it to a certain extent. So it's not just you have lesser information as well. You have rich set of information as well as data.
Understood. Fair enough. Maybe my next question is a little hypothetical, and which is, I think the industry is very excited about this migration ISO 20022, and I think everybody has put in their lot of efforts to make this possible. Now, as per your thought process, what could be the next frontier of innovation beyond this migration?
So I think this is this migration or this ISO adoption is there to stay for at least 20-30 years. So I think now we will focus more on the real time payments. How do we enable payments the real time? One of the questions that you previously asked was about synchronizing your instant payment and with this cross border. So I think there is a very much opportunity, especially with, let's say, with SEPA one leg out, right? So that's what it does. It is instant payment along coupled with your cross border capabilities. So I think that would be the next focus area. How do we integrate, not, I would say, not just the real low value payments, but if there's an opportunity for bulk payment integration as well with cross border. So I think that would be the next focus area.
One, I mean, like related question, and again, it's again hypothetical in nature. Do you think we are reaching at a level of saturation in terms of innovation in payments?
No. So maybe we are taking up one step at a time. But when we talk about innovation in payments, I think there's still a lot to do, even with not just the way we are transferring messages, but with respect to uh, what can we do, or how can we make the payments better for the customer, or uh, how can we make the payments transparent for our customers as well. So I know we have GPI tracking and everything, but I think there's still a lot to do. So very basic example is the FX information that goes on the GPI, right? It's currently an optional thing. So not everybody choose to send out the FX related information to the customer. So I think, small things like this, but still they would go a long way. So I don't think we are done with all the innovation that we could do.
Oh, fair enough. Thank you so much. And that's all from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Urvija. Rakesh, Shriyanka, again, do we need to take a couple of minutes break or should we resume? Should we continue?
No, we can continue if that's
I'm
okay.
fine
I don't
with
know.
Yeah. All right. So let me invite Shubhrajit, our next finalist. Shubhrajit.
Hello,
Hello.
everyone. Yeah, let me share my presentation. Give me a minute.
I like your background.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll start now. I esteemed judges, the MVLCO team, and everyone else present over the call. A very good afternoon, because right now it has been around an hour of presentation. I think might be everyone is tired, and so yeah. Just a second. Yeah. Yeah, my name is Shubhrajit Paul, and I currently work as a senior technical business analyst. And today I'll be presenting on AI and blockchain in payments. So let me start with a quote. So AI teaches money to think, blockchain teaches it to remember, and together they teach it to govern itself. With that, how has the evolution in payments began from a barter to digital? Every evolution in money has been driven by trust and intelligence. So I'll bring in these two terms again and again in my presentation: trust and intelligence. And today, AI and blockchain are converging to redefine the foundations of global payments. And these are not merely incremental improvements nowadays. We can term it as rather fundamental reimagination of how payment works from an end-to-end point of view. And it brings a paradigm shift that combines intelligent automation with trustless infrastructure. And all of this will be driven by data-rich real-time ecosystem, which will be powered by ISO 20022, brought by Swift in the recent years. Moving to the problem statement, what is the problem with the traditional approach of payments or the traditional systems? Complexity, cost, and transparency. So we can term it as AI-powered fraud epidemic. Now, if you see the recent frauds in the recent years, we can see more than 50% frauds happen nowadays using AI, which include deepfakes, voice cloning, synthetic IDs, phishing, perfect phishing without any grammatical or syntactical errors. On a loss of financial scale, it amounts to around $50 billion plus fraud and compliance losses in 2025. That's what we are expecting this year. And legacy system limitations are fragmented systems. Most of the market infrastructure still runs in their proprietary message formats. Though with the advent of ISO 20022 migration, this gap will be bridged. We all are hoping. So as of now, around 10% of the cross-border failures are related to data or formatting issues, and legacy systems are also slow, costly, and vulnerable. It takes around 3 to 5 days to settle internet and cross-border payments end-to-end, involve around 3 to 5 intermediary banks, and cost around 2 to 7% of fees. And that too, many of the market infrastructure and various participants still work during the business hours only, and that is far away from the 24/7 expectation from the payments that we are looking forward to. Also, there is a vulnerability gap, though most large institutions still has adopted AI powered protection, but for small and medium businesses, around 65% of them still lack adequate protection from AI. Again, another quote I will mention, what if payments could be simultaneously faster than human thought, cheaper than any traditional system, and more secure than Fort Knox? And it's not a science fiction anymore. It's happening today through AI and blockchain. AI fraud detection market is expected to hit more than $31 billion by 2029. Stablecoin payment has already reached $32 trillion in 2024. Blockchain speed, though it's theoretical, Solana has theoretically proven under specific testing that it can reach up to 65K TPS, which is Visa's real time is 25K, though theoretically Visa is also 65K TPS. It has proven under stress test. Cross-border payments projected at around 290 billion by 2030. So with the advent of AI and blockchain is poised to capture 20% of this share via speed and cost efficiency in the next 10 years, which is by 2035. And that's why we can say that we stand at the intersection of two revolutionary technologies that are reshaping this cross-border payments landscape now. Moving to the next, AI in payments refer to the intelligence layer for, as I mentioned previously. So this is the intelligence part. Fraud detection and real-time defense, around 95% accuracy it can achieve. That has been already reported through research, as well as it will reduce 60 to 80% of false positives. So currently around 90 to 95% false positive we can see in the real world data. And it will sum up to 30% of fraud loss reduction. And Mastercard's Decision Intelligence Pro has shown capability of 1 trillion data points per transaction with a decision speed of 50 milliseconds. And US Treasury has reported in 2024 that they have prevented $4 billion plus fraud, which is an improvement from 6x improvement from 652 million, I guess. And next, we can use intelligent data processing. So NLP can enrich the unstructured data. So as you may know, in Swift ISO 20022 MX messages, we can still use unstructured data. So to understand that unstructured data as for regulatory compliance, also to put data into the structured fields, we can use NLP. automated AML and sanctions check we can use for transaction categorization and risk tagging. There is a smart routing already capability introduced by Swift, in which AI selects optimal payment rails based on cost, speed, etc. And predictive liquidity can minimize funding cost for the correspondent and all the global banks. And personalized risk scoring can be done based on behavioral patterns. Industry reality is around 90% of the major banks now deploy AI-based fraud systems. Blockchain in payments, which is the trust layer. Distributed ledger technology can create immutable transaction records shared across network nodes, which are not, which cannot be changed, or it's very difficult to change due to its various distinct features like consensus and voting, etc. Apart from that, cryptographic verification replaces manual auditing. Real-time reconciliation also can be done through blockchain, which will reduce the traditional settlement delays from 3 to 5 days. Also, end-to-end payment tracking and real-time auditability can be enabled for the regulators. Smart contracts can be used for trigger automatic settlement and can be used for payment versus payment, delivery versus payments. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, again, reduce trapped capital and due to Forex analysis by the AI and blockchain can be done to reduce the notional balances. Tokenization can be used for digital asset representation via CBDC or stable coins, etc., which can enable 24/7 settlements, and it can enable fractional ownership because it's a digital asset, and as well as swap currencies are also tested. I'll mention that as well. Cost and access revolution, disintermediation will reduce cost from 2 to 7% to 0.1 to 1%. Micropayments unlocked, as I mentioned already, that due to very less charges, we can even initiate sub-dollar transactions. Financial inclusion can be will be enhanced due to by a small smartphone wallet. We can give access to 1.4 billion people who are still unbanked globally. Stellar MoneyGram cut remittances costs by around 40 to 60%. Some examples of JPM Coin, which manages around 1 billion transaction, more than $1 billion transactions daily. RippleNet has been in with 300 plus institution and 40 plus countries. Apart from that, BIS Project Mariana has done multi-CBDC experiments, and RBI DLT projects like e-Rupee, wholesale and e-Rupee retail. So AI plus blockchain means trust plus intelligence. Combining AI intelligence with the blockchain integrity, AI will decide and blockchain will verify. Smart contract plus predictive AI will mean self-regulating payments. Fraud defense, as I have already mentioned. Autonomous operations, self-optimized routing. AI will learn the best paths to settle a payment, and blockchain will execute that. Real-world example: HSBC's artificial intelligence plus DLT used in fraud detection on blockchain. Visa plus Chainlink, CBDC. It has tried out, as I mentioned in the previous slide, that CBDC stablecoin swap has been tested across 2 currencies. And ECB has tested about CBDC contracts. So the ultimate outcome will be payments that are autonomous, AI-driven, auditable, blockchain verified, adaptable, continuous learning, and trustless, no intermediary required. Moving to the next slide, Swift has recently made a remarkable introduction in Sibos 2025 about the blockchain ledger initiative. And it will be it will introduce a blockchain-based ledger for 24/7 settlements, and Swift will have the capability of settlement as well, apart from messaging. And it has 30 plus bank as partners, and Consensus, which works with Ethereum. Compatibility is it is expected to be compatible with various tokenization standards. And hybrid model, its purpose is for hybrid model connecting traditional rails with the digital assets. So a quote I have copied from the Swift page, which says combining a shared ledger with Swift's existing messaging APIs and powerful APIs and ISO 20022 creates an even more powerful construct, one that can embed risk, controls, and compliance requirements. Moving to a real world example, which various organization in my current organization also we are trying. It's like smart compliance in AML. It so the current pain points are 95% false, 90 to 95% false positive has been reported, as well as lengthy KYC process structured data and static sanctions list. So this AI intelligence layer and blockchain verification layer can work together to introduce NLP data and NLP to both structured and unstructured data respectively, and shared KYC across different organizations. And real-time sanctions list will be can be updated through AI. And with blockchain can have immutable audit trail, cryptographic proof, and ultimate beneficiary owner tracing, through which the investigators can drill down to on the ultimate beneficiary of the payments. And fuzzy matching resolves name verification, transliteration, reduces false positive by 60 to 80%. So these are the measurable outcomes, like 70% faster compliance processing, 60 to 80% fewer false positive, 90% faster onboarding. It will reduce from 6 weeks to 2 days, 100% auditability for regulators. Live example for blockchain-based KYC is Kiva protocol in Africa's and Sovereign network in global in the global in the global viewpoint, as well as chain analysis AI sanctions. So there is a company called Chain Analysis which helps investigators to do the chain verification for blockchain, as well as to map it to the biometrics or other details which can refer to the ultimate beneficiary of the blockchain-based payments. Okay, risk and roadblocks are first one is security. There can be adversarial AI which is not trained on proper data. Poison data model manipulation or smart contract exploits can happen. And roadblocks would be based on this risk, smart contract bugs, and enabling theft. Technical constraints are AI compute versus real-time latency. Whatever I mentioned regarding Solana, it's the theoretical. Right now, it is around 500 to 1,000, I guess, TPS, and which we are expecting to improve it. And till that, it will be a roadblock. Regulatory uncertainty is unclear liability when the blockchain or regulation fails, and no crypto-related standardization as well. And there are transparency issues, which shows opaque ML decisions. So if it is a black box, then we'll not be able to tell. So model validation is one of the points which can reduce this risk. And there is also resourcing gap, which is less skilled workforce for AI and blockchain. And some data I have provided. Bottom line is technology is production ready, but the ecosystem alignment, regulatory clarity, and industry standards are not yet up to the mark. Moving to the almost the last slide, where I have shown the expected road ahead, which is in 2027, as per the G20 guidelines, we are expecting 75% of the cross-border payments to be processed within 1 hour, and rest 25 within a day. And I guess implementing more CBDC and AI will help it to make it faster, as well as AI handles. We are expecting AI to handle 95% of the compliance, and that's an ongoing project in my organization as well. And sub-second cross-border payments So that's what we are expecting. And tokenization and programmable money pilots should be started, I guess, by 2027. Blockchain interoperability standards would be required from the regulators, as well as so in 2030, we're expecting much more involvement of AI and blockchain in the payments, with AI proves 99.9% of the transactions, CBDC networks settle payments with less than second transaction speed. Smart contracts will be introduced to auto split payments, and then IoT device transaction will also be
Subhrajit, request you to
introduced.
please conclude quickly.
Okay, yeah. So 2035 is a utopian. As a payment enthusiast, I have become a bit utopian, and mostly expecting AI and blockchain to take over the hard cash related transactions and also the traditional payment approaches. Finally, I have noted down most of the prominent research and data sources which I have referred to, as well as I have referred to actually 40 plus data sources. So I have put it as published it in a public repository, and with this scanner, anyone can refer to that repository. With that, I'd like to thank everyone, and that's where I end my presentation.
Thank you, Subhrajit. Comprehensive research. Clearly, you've gone into stats, you've gone into marketscaping, and you've tried to put in your own hypothesis in terms of what it could look like, which I really like and appreciate. So, a few technical questions, and then maybe more discussion on hypothesis. When we talk about the trust layer, right, and the asset movement layer, right? There is a difference between regulated and non-regulated assets and permissioned and permissionless ledgers.
Yes.
Can you talk me through a little bit about the current initiatives and what you've observed in terms of maybe Swift Ledger, the difference of how institutions and networks are approaching permissioned versus permissionless in terms of establishing trust and identity verification?
Yeah, give me like 5-10 seconds to think about it.
Yeah, it's a thinking question as well.
Yeah, so what I can think of is currently the KYC. We are doing it in a traditional approach where we need to submit all the documents. So and that would be mostly done via the either the regulatory institutions or mainly the banks are doing the KYC. But going forward, it will be as of now it is permissioned where only the banks are doing the KYC, though if it is based on blockchain as well. But going forward, I can expect that like the NGOs or other similar institutions can do based on mobile payments, which will be permissionless, and they can initiate payments based on blockchain-based KYC, which will be done on a maybe mobile wallet level as such. And as I mentioned in Sierra Leone, it has been already piloted, I guess. And currently, though it is permissioned, I guess my understanding is in future, maybe 5 to 7 years, it will be more permissionless as well.
Okay. So, I mean, honestly, the difference, let me just simplify it, right? And it's also not just for you, for the listeners. In difference between, you've got a Bitcoin image behind you, right? So that's a traditional, and many people confuse it for blockchain, a symbol for blockchain, and for everything which is DLT and crypto. But I mean, if you take a step back, permissioned is where you still have a centralized authority that determines trust and who can access. So if you look at the Swift ledger, it is going to be a permissioned but public ledger. Then in terms of permissionless and public, that is classic blockchain which is your Bitcoin issuance, right? So who accesses it and how you can see the transactions on chain, right? And the visibility and transparency, those can either be controlled or they can be open to all. And similarly, in terms of the assets that you actually move, whether those assets can be regulated or non-regulated. So if you look at a number of these crypto networks, they put unregulated assets on chain, right? Which is not governed by any particular central bank or monetary authority or tracked globally. On the other hand, regulated assets would mean anything which has, like the US has defined a particular legislative framework for regulating their stable coins. And that's why market actors have far more confidence to issue a dollar-backed stable coin, right?
Yes.
Which in other countries, we're still yet to see, right? Like their own currency. In some places, it's illegal as well to launch a stable coin. So the piece on trust, I think, is important. It's beyond technology at the moment, but to your point, it is
Yes,
definitely
I
a new way of
would like
thinking
to
about trust.
I
Go on.
agree on your point, and I guess that's why stable coins like USDT, USDC, they are accepted much more than like the other ones which are not pegged to dollars or any other like fiat currency, or maybe gold or silver, like materials or. So yeah, and so that's what mostly we are expecting stable coins to take it over. Maybe as per my expectation, as per the research that I've seen, it's around 20% that we are expecting to take over, and mostly it will be stable coins which are mostly regulated and backed.
Let's also deep dive into fractional ownership. How will fractional ownership be made possible on blockchain without a legislative framework? Today, there's no fractional ownership of a flat in the legislative framework. Do you mean that that legislative framework can be bypassed in a new blockchain world, or are we doing something differently?
As of now, I don't think I have found any research for that. But what I can see, if it is based on blockchain in a single block, keeping transactional data for like if it is a fractional one, it will have data for multiple owners, and even when transactions and data will have multiple initiators or beneficiaries. So in that way, we'll need to, I guess, see different blockchains, or maybe some innovations will be happening in blockchains where maybe with regulations as well. But initially, I guess it will be without regulation, where the DLTs, any blockchain or any other DLTs can come up with some innovative technologies through which like multiple ownership or transactional data can be passed through the network.
Okay, thank you. Over to you, Rakesh.
Thanks, Shanka. And Shubhrajit, great presentation. I really
Thank you.
liked when you mentioned AI decides and blockchain verifies. So my first question is related to that only. Do you think that as the, let's say, systems are getting more and more autonomous every day, do you think that there will be a point where the systems will start governing themselves without any human intervention? I know it's a hypothetical question, but would like to have your thoughts around it.
Yeah, I guess so. So I have seen recent posts like introducing the fact that many AIs can initiate UPI payments now, and I think in one of the recent presentation that has happened as well. I am not able to recollect where AI has taken its own decision, where not asked specifically to do that transaction. That is where we'll need to bring in the control versus automation trade-off. And also maybe that's where I have mentioned there is a risk and roadblock as well, where AI can go wrong. Maybe not in a bad way, but maybe a point that which AI can do without even the guidance properly if it does some act. So in that case, which we need to check is that we need to check the training data, and the training data should be updated properly in some defined intervals, as well as the model which is the model which AI is based on should not be a complete black box to us. And in case we find out that there is like the AI deviating, or it is maybe, as you mentioned, it can take it over the decision making, we need to check like based on what model parameters it is doing, and we can tweak those parameters. So that's the possibility. But I think as we are improving technologically, I think we'll need to care for that specific point and ensure that this doesn't happen.
Understood. Fair enough. I mean, like one of the things which you touched upon in your response was training of the, let's say, models. And during your presentation as well, you talked about, let's say, frauds, fraud detection, and trust. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you also touched upon somewhere in your presentation regarding, let's say, data localization. If I'm not mistaken, I think you mentioned somewhere, or even if it was not there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like one of the areas where all entities which operate in the payments ecosystem, they constantly train their models, especially for fraud detection, is they keep on feeding data sets generated from various jurisdictions and countries to evolve and train those data so that the instances of, let's say, any frauds or let's say any suspicious transactions could be detected on the go. Now, what has been happening over the last few years is that a lot of countries are now coming up with data localization guidelines. Now, these data localization guidelines are in different forms and manners. So some countries, for example, like India, have mandated that the payments data has to reside only in India, right? While you can continue to process the data outside. On the contrary, there is an example, let's say, from Indonesia, which has adopted different kind of data localization, which says that the processing has to happen locally in Indonesia, but the data can reside anywhere. Now, given these instances of, let's say, the data localization frameworks adopted by different countries in different forms and manners, how do you see that, or how do you think that when the data sets from a particular jurisdictions are not available for you to train your, let's say, AI models, etc., how do you think that we can still the entities which are part of the payments ecosystem can still continue to provide the same level of service in terms of fraud detection, in terms of risk mitigation, etc., when, let's say, data sets from particular countries are not available because of the local regulatory requirements?
A few points related to that. One thing I would say that due to data localization, I guess the fraud patterns are also a bit localized. Not all fraud patterns are used across globally. So when training the AI and ML systems, I guess we'll need to think about the fraud patterns in a specific geography as well. And when we train that model, and if we have the data for that country, that is, I guess, all good. And next thing is, I guess, once we train a model, that should be usable by other geographies as well, in case. So in case the data is not available to train for my AI or ML model, which I'm creating, then I would say whatever data is available geographically that we can use, as well as I guess there are regulatory organizations like SWIFT or other organizations who have global data across the world, global payment, cross-border payment related data. That also we can feed it on. Maybe SWIFT will definitely come up with their own fraud analytical system, as well as what I can think of is it should not be a segregated approach how we train the models. I think we need a centralization as well at some point, through which maybe similar to Swift, any organization can come up for fraud data analytics, who can have conditional access to that data from various geographies, and they can combine the data to train the models. Maybe not take away the data and put it into some other servers outside of that country, but maybe they should have conditional access to train their model, and that would actually reduce the duplication of efforts as well from various organizations or institutions who are training their own data. It will be silos approach will not work in that as well. So along with centralized approach, I would say some localized approach would also be required, as I mentioned, due to localized fraud patterns. So that would be my take on your question.
Oh, fair enough. Look, the biggest challenge today, which we are facing with respect to, let's say, data localization, is that while I completely appreciate your suggestion of having a centralized approach to it, but that's where the whole challenge is that some of the regulators and some of the jurisdictions across the globe have taken their own decisions of how the payments data can be used and cannot be used. So that's one of the challenges which I think all entities in the payments ecosystem are facing. While we can talk about having a centralized approach and a localized approach, but the regulators and the federal governments being
it's difficult to decentralize it because they will lose control. That is one fact, as well as various geographies are getting benefited as well from this. If the data is the data reside with them.
There is nothing right or a wrong response to it. But I think over a period of time, and since I have worked extensively, personally, I have worked extensively on the data localization mandate of the RBI, I can say that what the regulators and the governments are trying to create islands in the middle of the ocean. So that's the kind of a situation in which we live. My last question, I think in your timeline slide, somewhere you mentioned that by 2030, we will see IoT-based payments, maybe a car making a payments or a fridge making a payment or a wearable making a payment.
Yes.
Right? We haven't hearing about these IoT-based payments. At least I can tell about myself. I've been hearing for more than 5 years now. You are saying that it will become a reality somewhere around 2030. What do you think is the challenge which is holding it back?
Most of the thing is there is very less acceptance. One is that, and these in India, you see very less usage of such IoT devices, which can which are intelligent. Maybe in some developed countries, it can be used more. So that is one is this wide spread acceptance is one, and then also regulations and all and standards. So I think Swift will bridge that gap. Which I am expecting like by 2025, 2026, various as we move towards ISO, all the transaction details are structured, and if we can use those in payments, maybe these kind of payments through IoT, or maybe in case like most of the IoT based payments would be based on blockchain. So if we can integrate the blockchain based payments with Swift's traditional cross-border payments, then I guess it will streamline that process of initiating this payments. And mostly, if it is there, it will be localized, I guess, most of the transactions related to IoT. But what in my slide I have mentioned is mostly related to cross-border IoT transactions, and that can also become a possibility. That roadblock will be one is standardization, and then one is regulation across. We still don't have. We have wholesale, retail, or the related regulations from SWIFT or any central banks as well. But IoT device related transactions, we still are not that much regulated. Like there can be stealing happening of that IoT device, and theft of data can happen. So in that way, regulation will also be one roadblock, as well as the acceptance and more IoT devices and big data. As we are already working on big data, I think once we have more hold on the big data, then we can expect like more payments from the IoT devices.
Fair enough. Thank you so much, Shubhrajit. That's all from my side.
Great answers.
Thank you.
Maybe
Thanks,
just a little
Rakesh.
compliment on federated AI. I think you explained the concept, and I think that's really going to be the future. Swift also partnered with Google to launch one of the first federated AI use cases at scale, where all of the banks hold the data, but the model is trained globally on fraud prevention, and we make that like a common good, like a digital public good, which can be deployed on other networks as well. And in terms of IoT, Rakesh, more for you. I think in the UK already printer cartridges are being ordered basically by the printer itself. So we're experiencing some of that. But specifically, it's more the event triggered by IoT that will power the payments, right? So, but it's going to be quite a future in the next 5 years. So thank you, Shubhrajit. Very nice presentation and a good start to my Sunday morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Rakesh.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Shubhrajit. So we'll move on to our last finalist, Krishna.
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen.
Hi, Krishna. You've been waiting patiently.
Yeah, so I think I am the one who will be presenting the last, So before starting with the slide, I would like to just confirm few checks. Am I audible and my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So let me give a quick intro about me. So I'm Krishna Kumar Singh. So I have approx 6 years of experience working as a business analyst. And today I will be going to present on the cross-border instant payments, opportunities and challenges. So as the topic itself suggests, that we are exploring what are the opportunities and what are the challenges. So something which is currently happening or, might be happening in the future. So how to achieve and what are the opportunities and challenges. Today we will be covering on the various areas like, overview of the cross-border instant payment, why it is required, okay, and what is the market growth and opportunity which we see, what is the implementation model behind this, what are the business impacts, if we consider the cross-border instant payments, what are the regulatory and compliance challenges, so basically challenges. So in terms of regulatory and compliance, technical and operational, and then we will proceed towards the conclusion, what is the way, forward. So as the name suggests, cross-border instant payments. So these are the mechanism that enables fund transfer between two different countries in nearly real time. Okay. What are the purposes? So basically overcomes delays and complexities of traditional international transfers, enables fast, secure, and efficient cross-border transactions, provide instant settlement for individuals and businesses. So we can see that, it will be having a very, very good features like, speed, security, global reach, utilizing digital platforms. So we'll be going in the details, later in the slide that how we'll be able to achieve this. Okay. So first, we need to understand what was the need. What is the need? Why we are discussing today cross-border instant payments. Okay. So to do that, first we need to understand cross-border payments. What are the limitations currently? Okay, and then it can help us to understand that why we need. So first thing, we understand that traditional, cross-border payments is happening lengthy process. It is sometimes it can take several days, so it is time consuming. Okay, it may involve various parties, intermediary banks, so the level of parties will be involved, so it will be having the high costs, lack of transparency, because there is complex fee structure, there are exchange rate conversions happening, so basically that's not very transparent to customers, so that's a lack of transparency. Then complex regulations, which we discuss something. So there are different countries in this geographies, multiple geographies, and they are having their own rules and regulation in terms of managing the data, in terms of processing the data, in terms of controlling the payments. So yeah, so these are the limitations, and that's why we are today discussing on the need for cross-border instant payment, which overcome all these limitations. Now we will quickly go through. Another factor is market growth and opportunity, what we see. So if you see, the current slide describes what is currently as per 2023, and what will be the growth projected for global trade, B2B payment segment by 2020 2030. So we can see that currently the global trade is 190 trillion USD, 190 trillion, and now it will jump to $290 trillion by 2030. Okay, so similarly B2B payments, so we can see same growth here, so from $39.3 trillion to $56.1 trillion by 2030. So it is approx 1.5 folds, as compared to 2023. So we see that the businesses are increasing, so we see both complete whole opportunity and growth here. Okay, and before understanding that, so since we are discussing cross-border instant payments, so first we need to understand what is the global coverage in terms of locally, instant payments. So I think Rakesh already described in one of our discussion that 80 plus countries having the instant payment networks, and currently it is reached to 75% global population. So that's a good thing. Now we need to think how it can be interconnected. Okay, and to do that, there are several challenges like compatibility issue linking to different instant payment system, scalability, the size grows, then how to scale the infrastructure, global networks, what are the global networks, how to scale those, the way the payment instant payment increases. Okay, now first I would try to explain what is the implementation model behind this. So we see there are two model. One is interlinking model, and another is closed loop model. So what is interlinking model? In interlinking model, so let's say there are two countries, they are having their own instant payment systems. Okay, so how to link those instant payment system to have the cross-border payment processing? So that's something interlinking. Okay, so its key features are it simplifies cross-border payments for PSPs without local business, reuses existing IPS infrastructure and bank services, integrates AML KYC processes across systems, so the IPS having their own controls on this AML KYC processes, all the things. Some of the case study for this model is OCT INS, IXB payment, Nexus project. And I would quickly go through how it works. Okay, so interlinking model. So you can refer just this diagram. There is a payer, then it's a payment service provider, then there is an instant payment service A, and this is currency zone A. So the customer is within Europe, and then there is a currency zone B, which is outside of Europe, and then there is an instant payment, then there is a payment service provider, and then there is a payee. So when this payment initiate, so the transfer happen, it goes to the IPSA, and then from here, the conversion happens, exchange rate happens, if some data is required, like, time stamping or some data, updation to meet the regulatory need, for the payment processing. So that happens here. And yeah, then the payment processing continues in the local jurisdiction. So we have already discussed. So these are the few key models, like SEPA or CTMs. This is already live in May 2024. Nexus project. So this is something, AXP initiatives. So the POC is done, still it is being worked on, to fully roll out. Closed loop model. So in closed loop model, the instant payment service provider, so it's same. So you can see that, there are multiple zones like UST zone, JPY zone. There can be EUR zone. There can be GBP zone. Okay, all the payments are being exchanged through this single payment system. Okay, so what are the advantages if you see? So there is simplicity, fast transaction. But if you see, so, it is having multiple jurisdiction connections, multiple zones. So it can have regulatory gaps. It can have market inefficiency. Yeah, and this is the diagram, same thing depicting that there is a IPS in the currency zone A. That you can say, that can be ABRT1, the payment is being initiated in EUR, and finally it is being sent to USD currency. Okay, so one such example is Iberpay, where, which is registered to process, OCT's schemes. Yeah, so here the exchange conversion happens, and then further locally the payment is processed. So the good examples or case studies can be, TransferWise. It was formerly TransferWise, currently it's Wise. Then PayPal, Ambreeze. So these uses closed loop models. Okay. Now this is something we need to understand. What are the business impacts, considering, how it will impact to the business. So first thing, empowering SMEs. So SMEs are small and medium level enterprises, who are not having, let's say, global coverage, or due to cost factor they are not able to reach. It is taking too much time. Okay, so this instant payment is going to help them very widely. So like cost efficiency, it will have the speed, it will have the global reach, and all these factors will lead towards the trust, because the payment is being processed faster, it is taking very less time, global reach is there. Enhanced trade relations, so if you see, so faster payment, this is near real-time transaction processing. Okay, it means faster settlement will happen, and it means enhanced trade, and which will lead to build trust, strengthen relationship, increases trade volume, because the way, business grows, the volumes will already grow. Okay, financial inclusion. So as we discussed earlier, so there can be some geographies or regions, or institution, financial institutions, which are not, reachable due to multiple factors, like, financial problem or, cost. Okay, so basically cross-border instant payment provide the, that services, like affordable services, and so that, such banks or financial institution can also participate globally. Okay, so global participation, then access, throughout the, globe, and it will have the economic growth as well. So we see, good financial impact considering the cross-border instant payments. Okay, now understanding this, so the key part is challenges. What are the key challenges? So first thing is, which comes to our mind, that's regulatory and compliance. Okay, so when we discuss about regulatory and compliance, so it can be like regulatory differences, that from one country. So as we were discussing earlier, that India is having that, the data should be within the country, but Indonesia says that it can be across the world, but the payment processing should be within the country. Okay, so these are the kind of, regulatory differences. AML, KYC requirements, so anti-money laundering requirement, KYC, know your customers, so, verifications, since it is involving, more than one country, so it becomes very difficult. Okay, and it leads to the higher compliance cost for financial institution to do this verification Another factor is, currency conversion. So complexities in exchange and conversion of multiple currencies, because it involves multiple, countries and having their base currencies, different base currencies, so not the common currency. Exchange transparency issue. So this is something, not very key known to the customer. Additional cost and delays in cross-border transactions. So these are the regulatory and compliance challenges. Now we will discuss on the challenges, technical and operational. Okay. So apart from that, we see that there are various challenges, like interoperability. So as we were discussing earlier, so it's stabilizing compatibility between different IPS system. Okay, so let's say there is, system by US, which is RTP, and then stabilizing a connection in Europe, which is, EBA RT1. So how to stabilize that connection? How to operate? What will the, governance process? How the settlement will happen? So this is the interoperability issue, increasing complexity as participant count grows, a limited current connection between IPS systems. So we see hardly, that it just started, so it's even not, few projects are there which are doing POCs. Network reliability. So the way the ensuring consistent reliable connections, preventing downtime to maintain system integrity, provide 24/7 operational availability. So that's a key challenge. Then we are having the cyber security, fraud, network security threats and vulnerabilities, advanced analytics for real-time fraud detection. So this is something, we need to use to prevent this AML and frauds. Then maybe involve AI-driven tools for monitoring suspicious behaviors. Then further comes, this is about operability, and then operational. So like infrastructure investment to do the linking, there will be a significant cost. There will be a significant, significant investment. Transaction fees and operational processing costs may increase. Okay, so need for some scalable, and future proof system. So that's something that can be done, something, when all the bodies, things globally as a centralized approach, how to standardize data privacy and protection. So there can be various, challenges related to data privacy and protection. So cross-border data transfer regulations. So we discussed earlier, taking the example of India and Indonesia. Compliance with GDPR and other data laws. So, as you know that EU has mandated the GDPR, how the data should be protected and how it should be processed within the Europe. And it's, so those rules, how to achieve this, when we think the cross-border instant payments, user experience and trust. And that is something, this is new. Okay, so everyone hesitates to use the, in anything new. Okay, so user guidance, user education, need for intuitive accessible interfaces, so that it's not difficult for them to understand. Building trust in new payment system. Okay, so now we'll discuss on the, considering all these aspects. So what is the need, what is the, business impact, what is the growth we see. So what we see, what should be the path forward for this. So one thing is like coordinated efforts, and this effort should be between, financial institutions. Okay, so banks and payment providers investing in instant cross-border capabilities. So they should have, coordinated effort to achieve this. Then regulators, so, central banks and regulating bodies, creating supportive frameworks, or, a common, or aligning at least a standard framework, which can be utilized across, globe. Then technology provider, so fintech companies developing innovative cross-border solutions. So as we discussed, key examples are IXV, Nexus Payment. Then government definitely plays a crucial role. So, because they are the policymakers, they have the policymakers. Okay, so which is prioritizing cross-border payment efficiency. Yeah, then only, soon we can achieve the cross-border instant payments throughout the, globe. So the progress path can be,
Krishna,
recognition and
please
prioritization.
conclude in 30 seconds.
Okay, yeah. So G20 having some rules, then collaborative frameworks as we discussed, then technology integration to achieve. Okay, and then adopt within the system. Okay, so we can say the vision of seamless instant cross-border payment becoming increasingly attainable, pointing to a more sound and efficient global economy. So yeah, here I conclude my presentation. So that's it. Thank you. Yeah, I'm open for the further questions.
Thanks, Krishna. You've got in and explained out a lot of concepts, initiatives, and possible outcomes. Personally, I've been very uh, involved in interlinking. Last 10 years of my life. So when IXP came up, it was really on a whiteboard in my office. Similarly, I'll talk a little bit about the challenges before I come to ask you a question. One of the first instances of using the retail payments systems or fast payment systems as a last mile was between UK and India. Lloyds being a gateway bank in the UK faster payments and ICICI in India. And that was the bridge between was SWIFT when we were doing GPI. When that happened, there were not many instant payment systems. Today there are 80, right? So it's been a collective journey from private sector as well as public sector. If you look at the start of your presentation, you mentioned the efficiencies gained from trade, right? On instant payment systems. Now, practically, instant payment systems are classified as retail payment systems, right? And retail payment systems normally have a market cap, right? Like a transaction value cap. So it's $1,000 somewhere, $10,000 somewhere. And trade payments, typically what we see on our network, it starts from 250,000 and goes up to 5 billion and beyond, right? So it cannot flow on a retail payment system, which is designed for one currency, domestic usage, right? And that's a journey of slowly opening retail payments up to other currencies as well as other business use cases. So in terms of that journey and all of the initiatives that you've come across so far, if you had to recommend that one big change to make your vision of instant trade possible, what would that be to a retail payment system or market scheme?
Okay. Okay, so considering the retail payment, the cost factors and the market gaps, so to have a harmonizations, in between the payment systems like various instant payment systems. Okay, so as you took example of payments initiating from UK and using the Lloyd Bank. Okay, and then ICICI India. So first I would like to explain how it was happening using the CBPR plus. Okay, and how that will add on.
No,
to
you
the,
don't need to go into that.
mhm.
You're going into a different zone.
Okay,
Basically,
okay.
I have an instant payment system, right, in country X, and we need to implement interlinking. So what would be the top considerations for that instant payment system? And you can choose a scenario where you're designing a new one or it's an existing scaled instant payment system like UPI. What would be the change to make interlinking
Okay.
possible?
Yeah, so one thing, if I go through the, so for example, either we can do through the interlinking model, okay, or we can do through the closed loop model. Okay, so doing through the interlinking model, first thing, the intermediaries bank will be removed. Okay, and either of the IPS should be registered in the another IPS instant payment system. There should be a service which should be evolved in between. Okay, so which do the which take certain responsibilities and regulations, like doing the exchange rate conversion, meeting the local obligations. Okay, so for example, if there is any conversion rate required, so do that in local currency. If any time stamping required in terms of, so let's say Europe says that in a city the payment should be processed within 10 seconds. Okay, but when the payment was initiated in the US, okay, so it might have already reached that 10 second. So then do the further time stamping, so to achieve the to prepare the data as per the local regulations, and then feed to the existing system, instant payment system. So that will be something key thing which will be included, to achieve this system linking.
Thank you. So basically, more towards the global cross-border scheme or a closed loop model where there has to be something centralized. Okay, I get your answer. Thank you. Rakesh, over to you.
Okay.
Thanks, Shankar. And Krishna, first of all, let me compliment you for the efforts which you have made in making us going through this complex subject of cross-border payments. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
I have only one question for you, and which is, I think in one of your slides, you talked about empowering SMEs. And SMEs is something which I'm really excited about, and that's the reason I'm asking this question. Now, what, according to you, could be the steps which can be taken by, let's say, the regulators or the governments or the banks or the fintech companies, etc., to empower SMEs, especially in the context of receiving cross-border payments? When, let's say, for example, because when you look at the SMEs today, maybe when we talk about SMEs, these could be SMEs from any country, right? Now,
Yeah.
SMEs today have aspirations to sell not just locally, but globally. They want to tap into the global market. They want to access the global market, right? Now, when they want to tap to the global market, one of the major challenges which they come across is how do they receive payments for the, let's say, goods or services which they are selling across the borders. So from my question is, from that point of view, what do you think are some of the steps which the regulators or the banks or the fintechs or the governments could take, which will really help these SMEs in empowering them to go global from their respective jurisdictions?
Okay, so to understand this, first we need to understand why this question. Okay, so the question, so when we talk about SMEs, okay, so those are the medium or small level, enterprises which is being, or which is providing services within a country or geography, and not having, very enhanced tool or linking or mechanism, to do the payment processing, or and even, the market cap, or they're not having, enough money to take those services. Okay, so to bridge these gaps, first thing, to provide the, there should be multiple steps which should be done, like provide the linkage, with the, larger banks within the local country, and then provide the, cost effective solution. Okay, so the way we are talking about the asset instant payments. Okay, and then how then those networks are linked across the geography, multiple countries. Okay, with the lesser charges. Okay, so when the, the cost will be less, and, having the, data intact, and the, greater time in the payment processing. So yeah, this will, kind of, they will be receiving the money instantly, they will be, doing the settlement instantly. Okay, so definitely it will help them to grow, and, widely over the network through the globe, and that will definitely enhance the trade. And also, the government should make some, the regulatory bodies should make some standard, or, policies, or common policies, considering the SMEs, how they can, achieve those regulatory obligations as well, understanding it very quickly. So, so these will be the key factors which I would like to see, that government or financial institution, and, providing them the new technologies, with the help of new technologies to support this SMEs.
Okay, fair enough. Appreciate your answer. So that's all from my side.
Okay, yeah, thanks Rakesh.
Well, it's time for me to speak now. Let me introduce myself. My name is Makaran. Hi, Rakesh.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
So far, so good.
So I've been a patient listener for last 2 days, today and yesterday, and I've been listening to these great presentations, and of course guidance by the panelists from India as well as from UK. So it's my time to thank everyone here, including Priya, Shianka and Rakesh, for being wonderful panelists and guiding the participants in respect of the presentations which they made. They obviously asked very, very pertinent questions. And then I'm sure the panelists would have gained a lot of knowledge by just interacting with you. And I'm sure many of them will be looking towards you like the role models, what they would like to become in future. So that's where I would like to thank you, both of you, once again. I'll also like to thank all the participants, the finalists who have joined this session and have been painstakingly making their presentations. In fact, the round was a very long round, not only the presentation round, but the earlier as well. In addition to that, let me also thank my colleagues, Ameya, then Deepali and Kritika, who took a lot of efforts for the last couple of weeks to make this happen. And let me also thank everyone here who has joined this session to gain more knowledge, including me, of course. I should thank myself for being here and gaining knowledge from this session. So let me thank everyone. In a week's time, we'll be having another round, the black belt and the green belt for cards. And then after that, we'll be discussing the outcome with the judges. Rather, the judges will be telling us about their decision, and then we'll be making an announcement about those decisions. So let me thank everyone here, and let me wish each one of you a very, very happy day today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Makaranji, thank you so much for the opportunity. It takes payment enthusiasts to create a future for payments, and really happy to see the work that you and your team are doing in India. Very grateful to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shanka. Hope to see you in other forum also and in our presentations also later on. Rakesh has been helping us a lot throughout. Maybe I believe our association goes back more than 10 years. I hope to have the same kind of association with you as well.
Just pardon me, I won't be able to, I won't be able to attend the next week. I already conveyed that to Amia because I'm traveling and there are some personal commitments.
Yeah, understand that, Rakesh. Okay. So thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.